So, good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm very excited today. We are going to be starting a new study. We tried to do that once a month a while ago, but now we are going to go through the whole book of Joanna de Angelis and Divaldo Franco, which is the book Alert. Remember that this is a book that is not yet published. We have been translated that with the agreement of Mansão do Caminho. Hopefully, as soon as we cover everything, do all the proofreading, revisions, etc., it will be published, but it's not so far. I think it's a very important book for us to talk about the lessons of course, not only being Joanna de Angelis, but uh, I told you before, but there are many people here that haven't heard that, so I'm going to repeat myself, which is this book, by the title, we already understand what Joanna de Angelis wants to achieve, which is to help us in the sense of becoming more aware of what we are doing with ourselves, what we are doing with life, about lessons that can be not only important to us, but important to everyone that is around us, and somehow we can contribute. So these are alerts that she is bringing to us. Please do remember that we are recording our meeting, so if you don't feel comfortable in showing your face or even your name, on top of your name there are three dots that you can go there and rename you or remove your name in case you don't want your name as well to show, which is important because these are studies that are going to be on our YouTube channel, and people can access them and also benefit from reviewing it, from watching it again, and for new people that somehow may find them interesting. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Let me see. This is for the first lesson that we are going to have today. Okay, that is called Forgiveness of the Offenses. Let me just set up everything here that I need to start. And as always, this is a study group. So we will stop for your comments and for questions. And ideally, we are going to finish all of them at the end of of this study today. So it's one lesson per week. So this is going to be lesson number 1, the forgiveness of offenses. I'm going to read it, okay, because it has to be some emphasis in certain points, so to facilitate the understanding of the message. But you can all follow me also in my reading by your screen if you're going through a computer or even a cell phone. Okay, you ready? Are you excited to this new study? Yeah, right. Okay. So the forgiveness of offenses. Please remember to keep yourself on mute. Okay, so we don't have any kind of interference. The forgiveness of offenses. Your aggressor, perhaps in another circumstance, will raise the voice in your defense. Your adversary, possibly in a special situation, will be the friend that will extend their hand to assist you. Your slanderer, perchance in a different position, will come to your aid. Your enemy, certainly after today's injunction, will be your devoted benefactor. Your accuser, after overcoming the influence of embitterment, will become the gentle companion of your journey. Forgive them when they turned against you, raising difficulties in the path in which you advance. Forgive their offenses without imposing any conditions, not even by clarifying misunderstanding and nullifying mistakes. Forgiveness should be seated in the oblivion of the offense and the total repudiation of evil with no demands. Okay, we are going to stop here. And now I would like to, to make some comments, and you can comment as well, okay? What is it that Joanna de Angelis is trying to tell us here? For starters, she's trying to call our attention about this little thing that we talk quite so often, that is reincarnation. Even if we are not talking about, the reconciliation per se with people that dislike us or vice versa, or we dislike these people or we dislike each other, we know that along the way, with new incarnations, new opportunities, we will be coming together again. We will see each other again, and we will have a special chance to start anew without remembering, perhaps, at least on a conscious level, what we have done to each other. And this may facilitate our continuing relationship. And so here she's saying to us, she's trying to call our attention to the fact that we do not know what is going to happen along the way. And that people that perhaps we have thought not to be necessarily our friends or work in our favor can be the ones that will come to our rescue. So basically it's that, but I would like you to comment as well, for those who would like to comment something. Not questions yet, comments, okay? Hello?
Okay, then when she mentioned about put in the sentence will, it means necessary in another life, or because for me, this meaning could be in this life. It's why every day I put some effort in my behavior.
Absolutely, Sonia. I mean, I was just thinking about example. Of course, this is a much easier one. Let's say, our closest family members, okay? Of course, like ourselves, they are not perfect. And we, as a rule, have something that we do not agree with them, that we condemn in their behaviors, okay? But let's say that someone comes to us and says something bad about this person that we perhaps even agree with. And we will say, yeah, but on the other hand, the same person that has this kind of personality trait is a person that is capable of doing this and this and so much. So in this sense, even when we have something against someone, we can somehow uh, help in the way of bringing to light other personality traits that are good. Of course, here we are talking about a more direct opponent. But even then, sometimes we may say, oh, this is such a hard person to have a relationship with. It's basically impossible. But I have to admit that it is an honest person, that it is a person that has the knowledge. You see, in a way, even when we have this disagreement, when we have this adversity and feelings in relation to someone, it is still can become something good. There is a mic that is open that is making some noise. I can tell you who it is. It's a phone number, I think, 718-862-4345. If you could mute, I cannot mute here for whatever reason. I don't know why. Uh, or I don't know if it's somebody else. Anyway, so these are, these are things that we never know, you know, and sometimes we hear people saying that they hate each other for such petty things that when they come to reason, they will realize that it's not worth to continue in this path. In any case, I think what is really important is to pay attention to what Joanna de Angelis is telling us here. You know, I think the main purpose here as well is not to foment more confrontation, more adversity, and the sooner we are, at least on our part, capable of removing any ill feeling, any grudges we may have in relation to someone, the sooner we will be uh, paving a new way of reconciliation. And this, you know, can be someone that is going to help us so much in the future. Do you know that we quite often talk about the relation between love and hate? So if we can overcome the hate, this can be a person that will love us with the same intensity, or has already loved us with such an intensity that it became hate, and along the way is going to be you know, someone that is really going to make a difference.
Orlando made a little comment in the chat, and he has a little questions like, how can we apply this message to what's happening at this moment with the injustice of racism? Let's remember that evil has the upper hand.
According to our perspective, Orlando, not to the perspective of God. You know, we have a very limited view and understanding of things. And this is exactly what we are talking about here in terms, you know, of starting from ourselves. Because normally what happens as well, and this is an important reminder here, because each lesson that we are going to be reading, it's addressed to us individuals. It's not to our husband, our daughter, our son, our sister, or mother, father. No, it's for you. Okay, so think about you. And if you have no relation whatsoever with the lesson, at least when you read the lesson, you say, oh my God, what a blessing. I have already overcome this situation that Joanna de Angelis is calling my attention to. So primarily, all of those lessons are for us. We are the ones that still have a prejudice, even in the way we judge people, even in the way we try to blame others for everything that is happening. We are part of this society. We are part of what is happening, Do you hear some noises, or just myself that is?
Oh, I hear too. I know.
Yes.
It's strange because
Show which one.
It's Elva, your microphone was not muted. Now it's muted.
okay, thank you. it's sorry, sometimes those noises can be very distracting. And the thing is, we are always thinking about, the responsibility of the world. How come there are so much injustice? We are part of this. We may not be condemning the same things, but we are condemning others. So if we could take care of ourselves and send, at least in terms of energy, good energies to the world, we would be seeing for sure a great reduction of this kind of things on earth. And evil has not the upper hand. Things are changing, and they are changing fast. I think evil makes a better propaganda than goodness, but goodness is all around. And even if they make that much noise, the noise is going to be minimized. And again, it's up to us to continue doing in ourselves what we should be doing. So let's read another part here. You do not know how fares the one who rises to hurt and accuse you. You ignore how the one who became your defiant enemy lives intimately. Unbeknownst to you is the plot that overthrew your companion to the point that he or she would turn against you. You have not yet experienced the painful affliction that the other has suffered, the one who is against you and wounds you with poison tethered, embittering your hours. It is certain that nothing justifies any antagonistic attitude, an aggressive position, or an adversary situation. Nonetheless, if you were that person, perhaps you would behave similarly or worse. To avoid that the same thing happens to you, exercise forgiveness, preparing yourself not to tumble on the ramp where the others live. Here is also so very important. I told you this example a few times, I think, but some of you may not have heard. I remember one time that I worked in an office, and there was this lady that she was always so bitter, so rude, and here I was, trying to make sense out of her behavior, even because, according to my point of view, I have never hurt her in a way for her to be so rude and bitter, offensive. And for I don't know exactly, but it was not that immediate. I was very intrigued by everything else, and I mean that bothered me, and it was hard to. We worked in the same room, and having a person like this working next to you was really a struggle. And it came to a point that I started, or maybe I stopped thinking only about myself and how I was feeling with her attitude towards me. And I started looking in a more general terms, and I realized that she treated everyone else in the same way. So here I was thinking that it was something against me, but it was something actually that was troubling her, that was part of her behavior, God knows why, but she was behaving the same way towards everyone. From that moment on, when I removed that idea that it was personal, and I saw that it was nothing in relation to me, but to herself, I started feeling sorry for her. And I started thinking, oh my God, what happened or is happening in the life of this person for her to be like this, for her to be so rude, so offensive, so aggressive to everyone. And the thing is, sometimes because of course the world revolves around ourselves. This is what the majority of us think, if not 24/7, at least many of the hours of the day. I mean, I am the center of the world. I started thinking about, her situation. So people, even from their perspective, whether they are twisted or not, sometimes they feel that they have reason to not like us, to hurt us, uh, because of envy, because of jealousy, because of, of their negative tendencies. And but there is always something behind all that. And it's important for us to start paying attention, and instead of provoking the situation to continue, perhaps be the ones that will help to break it, um, and not fomenting even more any kind of ill feelings toward this person. And I think we all know people like that. We all know people that should have no reason to dislike or even hate us, but they do. And we may, and if we are not so much offended and hurt, we may even find reasons behind, not necessarily in our behavior, it could be as well, but in the way they still are, the progress of their spirit. Your comments and questions.
Jusada?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. It's so prevalent to what's going on nowadays, just like Orlando had mentioned, that we really don't know, or we should know, because as spiritists, we should know by now, if we study a bit of, other people's suffering and what they're going through. So if you walk down the street and somebody bumps you and you get upset, you're many times I come in my building and I notice these things. Before it would bother me, now it doesn't. It really doesn't. You open the door, and if you have anything like package and you have bags, and I will hold the door. I don't care what's going on. I will hold that door for that person. And never would they say thank you or anything. Before it would bother me. Now, I just look and I just keep going. I understand, because you don't know what that other person is going through. Their mind is somewhere else, whatever they're going through. And this is so important what Joanna de Angelis is saying, that you don't know, the pain or the affliction that they're going through. So because we've learned so much, this is when we use everything we have in our hearts to be compassionate, to forgive. Oh, and what is the greatest of what Jesus is giving us? Forgive not one time, but 70 times, 7 times, that you forgive the same error, whether it's family, a stranger in the street, anyone. That we have to be alert, alert from what our beautiful teacher is teaching us here, and that this is so important, especially what's going on in this life, in this time of so much agony and pain. And I understand, I feel it. People are going through a lot. They're suffering, whatever it is. You have to be compassionate. You have to understand the importance of all this. And I thank you for this, because this book I know is going to be tremendous for us. It's a great help, family, friends, whoever we're dealing with in our lives. And I thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. Marisol?
Hi. Yes, I'm very excited that I came in today for the first time for the noon study group. How auspicious. And so I find it very interesting, you know, how Joanna de Angelis began this kind of like reminding us, you know, that everything comes from another lifetime, and that like we always learn in spiritism that we are the heirs of our own selves, and then I feel you know, it's so important what you touch upon about the way that we take things personal. You know, I've been studying that in myself for many years, and I wish you could expand a little bit on that, because I feel it's so common and it's such people suffer so much because taking things personally, and learning how to have a greater understanding of behavioral patterns in others and in our own selves, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that if we start, you know, if we manage somehow to become less selfish, uh, I think many of the offenses that we supposed to receive are not actually offenses. I mean, it's just the behavior of people, and I think it's beautiful that she says here that certainly nothing justify antagonistic attitude, aggressive position, but in a way, we have to accept people as they are, because there are other people that are accepting us as we are as well, and we know that we are, none of us are perfect. All of us have our, you know, very very difficult, you know, way of behaving, or even, I mean, if not always, at times, depending on what is going to trigger us. And also, what I think is very meaningful is that Joanna de Angelis started this book by talking about forgiveness.
Right.
I mean, it's not by chance. We don't just put a book together saying, okay, this is going to be the first, this is going to be the last. Maybe people, when they look at the book, they will not grasp the whole meaning of that. But I don't think we can say that this is the case, and especially because of what she's going to be saying this last part that we are going to be reading. I'm going to read now, and then we can continue comment. Those who forgive offenses acquire peace and propitiate peace. Those who forget the evils that they had been victims or vitalize the good that they need. Victims of vitalize the good that they need. Never make yourself anyone's enemy, nor accept a challenge from those who make you an enemy, falling to their level. If you cannot overcome the painful injunction that your enemies create, pray for them and think of them with peace in your heart. An enemy is someone who became unwell. Remember Jesus, who, even as an undue victim, forgiving, plead to the Father to forgive all because they know not what they do. So here, of course, you know, if we were going to be tough, making is a deep study in terms of forgiveness. There is so much more that we could be talking about, you know, how holding grudges affects our physical health, our emotional health, and how this is widespread today in the world in terms of, you know, even scientifically speaking, people have been measuring how this impact us, uh, and also the importance of reaching for inner peace. And so we cannot control what others think about us. We cannot control the perceptions, you know. Even this week, I was in between a confrontation that you could see that both sides were right and both sides were wrong. But according to their perception, I mean, they couldn't see at all the right in the other. They only saw the
Vamos pôr no
wrong.
chão? Vamos colocar no chão?
Eduarda, it's open your mic. And I don't know why this mic's open by themselves, you know. It seems that sometimes this is what happened. But so, you know, this is another thing, you know. We cannot interfere in the perception that others have of us, of what we say. I mean, they have to be the ones to pay attention, to, you know, to be able to analyze more. And I mean, if we want to live in peace, all the destructive emotion that we will carry by hating someone, by always being in a dispute with this other person. So if we cannot do that, sometimes we say, you know, try to avoid being with the person if you are still not able to forgive or to forget. Try to avoid this, or, you know, pray so that at least you can remove this ill feeling from yourself. And always remembering that we have to start forgiving even ourselves, even in the sense of us not still being capable of forgiving others. There are some cases that we don't know why they may be more difficult. They have more root. I don't know, and their roots are strong, are not so easy for us to remove unless we fortify ourselves to the point of being capable of doing that.
The issues within the same family, right? Those have deep roots, and normally they are the most difficult to overcome.
Yes. And I mean, we are talking about so many different kinds of feeling hurt. We may feel hurt because someone that we love it so much killed themselves. And I mean, instead of thinking, oh my God, how much this person was actually suffering and somehow could not cope with life. And here I am, you know, bringing this to myself. I am feeling offended or hurt because, you know, this person hurt him or herself. So there is many kinds of hurt here. It's not just, you know, I did something bad to you, you did something bad to me. It's something, you know, sometimes we have this kind of emotion as well, not just thinking about our emotion and not thinking about the suffering that has led that person to commit that act, for instance. So we have to put all of that into consideration. We have to be more compassionate in a way, even because we know that how much we need compassion in terms of everything that is with us. Any other comment before we go to a question here?
I think Orlando adds something in the chat.
Yeah, but it's more like a question. I just want to see if someone has a comment first, and then we go there.
I wanted to add something.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about the fact that we are to a planetary transition, and how much this means that this is a moment of extremes. And of course, pride is extreme. Everything is so obvious and so extreme. So one of the things that I've been thinking about is the fact that society is taking offense on things that happen, and taking offense and wanting to take revenge on things that happened centuries ago. So we are taking to the extreme right now. Is not only I don't forgive what you're doing to me now, but I don't forgive what your great-grandfather did to my great-grandfather. And this creating more rage, as if we didn't have enough problems. We are looking at the selfishness is so intense, and the lack of the ability of forgive is growing. And as Joanna is saying, all the mentors always saying there is without charity there's no salvation, and the forgiveness is charity. There's a moment where, as you just said, you have to look at the person, why the person is doing that, why is the person doing that to us, and forgive everything and everyone, because we're also to blame to so many things that we have no idea. I look at everything around, and I think that everything looks like it's madness. It's extreme, it's exaggerated. Everyone wants revenge on something, but we're all to blame. So we're only going to be healthy when we forgive everyone. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually.
You are absolutely right, Barbara, and you brought to light something that is so important. You know, all this, things that we are talking about, that Orlando mentioned in terms of prejudice, racism, and etc. I mean, if you could look really well, we are the ones to blame. We were the ones doing what we are now condemning. And of course, it's very hard for people to accept that. Perhaps that same statue that you are putting down was yourself, doing those things. And through the law of reincarnation, we know how this happened, how we switch roles, and how we experience life from different perspectives. And like you said, if and remembering and quoting Gandhi, an eye for an eye will make everyone's blind. You see, we are in this situation now. We will, of course, acknowledge what has happened, even before, because we do not want anything like this to happen ever again. But we have to start this education from now on. We have to be paving a different path instead of just being condemning and perhaps doing the same things that we were doing before. So it's very, very complex, and that the only way we will be able to do that is by removing those, the hatred that we bring. And in many times we will see that the culprits of this hatred that we have now were ourselves, in different incarnations, doing what now we are condemning. And so we have to think about it. We have really to meditate about it. And as Orlando put it here, the spirit should bear some responsibility. Absolutely not, unless you are talking about your spirit. All the responsibilities are ours. We do not, other spirits may even incline us to do good or to do bad. Ultimately, the choice is mine, so the responsibility is mine. As much as I would like to blame everybody else or anyone else, we are always the ones to blame, and this hurts. This is hard. That's why it is so hard to become a spiritist, because we don't want to hear that. And this also comes in tune with what Joanna de Angelis is telling us here. Do not be afraid to acknowledge your imperfections and forgive yourself as well. but work to change them. And you will have to forgive me today. I'll have to give a talk in 15 minutes. So I'll have to leave you now. Vera is going to conduct the end of the meeting, but I would like to leave reading what Ruth wrote here for us. That is very, very beautiful. Thank you so much, Ruth. Lord is love. Love God above all. Exalt the best, forget the rest. Be thankful, bless everything. Bless the good in life, the bad ones that did happen, and the bad ones God allowed not to happen. God is in everything. So I'll see you next week. And next week we will talk about, let me see here, die to live. Okay, that's the next topic. So take over, please, here. Okay, I will stop sharing.
Oh, can
I actually see how I leave
Absolutely.
without. Okay. Sign. What is a sign? Okay, there, signing.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes?
I have a question. When you were saying that you can't change someone from their own prejudices, and what happens if someone doesn't want to change? I mean, the situation is I have a friend, he's upset at homeless people because they constantly ask him for money. They're always asking him for things. And he gets upset because I understand times are hard. He has 5 children. But he gets really aggressive, really, really angry, like he wants to fight. But if telling him he's wrong is the wrong way, how can I convey to him he shouldn't be this way?
It's really hard to just go and say you're wrong, because the first lesson we have to try to understand and practice is knowing ourselves. And when the person, and also not judging the others, but it's hard. It's really hard because we don't know how deep it is, that wound, for him to go and say, I don't like this person, why they don't work. I have and it's funny, it's not funny, but it's interesting that you bring that, because I have the same thing in my household. And it was really hard to hear what he said, like, oh, I saw this person on the street begging. I gave him a little paper with a job offer. And then I was like, oh my gosh. And he said, I did a good thing. I offered a job for him. And then, I was like so compressed with that. But in the meantime, is the perspective of this person. I can't change. We can't. We have to try to understand and try to accept, because it's really hard. If you try to change without them understanding the what goes inside, why he believes in that, it's gonna be again. Maybe he's gonna come against you. Imagine inside your house you having that. I have to say, okay. I'm like, okay, give him time to understand and go. What do you add for that, Zoraida? You're in the mute. You're in the mute. Yeah.
I think of, you know what I think of with that is that, for the grace of God, let that not be me. If you see someone begging and out there asking for assistance, my God, that's the first thing I think of. Thank you, God, for giving me what I need. But be compassionate, understand. Don't go into why he's not working, why he's begging. Just say, you're there, you can help, do it. If you can help, you have the opportunity to help, do it. Don't question. And I understand people don't understand that. And it is very hard, just like you said, it's a very difficult thing. You see this a lot, but look at what's going on around us in our world. Look at all the suffering and the pain. And you see, you know, the other day, I think it was John who said it, that on TV, there was this show that showed all homeless people on a show singing and finding their way in life. All these people that were suffering, look where they came to. One of the biggest show on TV. They're singing and improving themselves. You don't know what that person who's in the street, what come tomorrow for the person. Oh, be careful what is going to happen to you. We have to look inside of ourselves first. And if you have to give, why question? I don't understand why you question if you have enough. Selfishness, we said before. Selfishness is just thinking of yourself. Think of the other person. My God, you know, I know it's hard, but once you hear it and you study it, it becomes part of you. You are who you are, and you see someone in need. My God, you know, we are who we are. We're human beings and help each other. Love each other. Do unto others. What is the greatest law of all? Do unto others what you want them to do to you. You don't know if that'll be you tomorrow. Very, very, you have to look deep inside of you. You have to know who you are and not criticize. Don't criticize and condemn a person because they're out there going through their challenges. We were there before, just like Yusara said. Go back. We were those persons who were doing condemning and hurting. So here we are. We have the opportunity, take the opportunity to move forward. Be compassionate.
Yes. Ruth added in our chat also, it's really interesting. How is just being exposed more because of a way of communications we have today. Let's look at the history. Witches were burned as some decades ago. We pray for ourselves to find a way of understanding and change ourselves, never others. We can only change ourselves. Okay. It's really nice, Ruth. Thank you. But it's hard. I understand. I really understand what she said. Sonia?
Yes, then we still learning here. We learning every day. And then I'm not able to teach anyone about forgiving, compassion, not selfish, or things like this. The best way to teach someone is by example. If someone hurt you, forgiveness, how you forgive? To be quiet, to pray for this person, and not to a nice speech. Nice speech in our behavior, it's the opposite way. It's anything. And this is the best way we can teach someone. It's by example, to behave in this way.
Phil, would you like to add something for that comment? Yes. Marisol. Any more comment?
Before we finish, then I'd like to have the lesson printed in my home. It's possible to ask Jusara or you, I don't know, to share with us the page. I can take a picture and or just print in my home and make a files with these lessons.
We have to ask Jusara, then we see, okay?
Okay, thank you.
The document is not available right now because it's in translation. And until they publish it, she can't distribute it.
Okay.
Vera,
Wait,
if you don't mind, I'd like to mention something about the lesson.
of course not.
It's interesting that Joanna de Angelis brought the first chapter of this book as forgiving of the offense, because I think at least today we're mentioning a lot of external things, like what others are doing. But the forgiving doesn't have anything to do with others. Like what I cannot stand on others is what I cannot stand on myself. Everything that I look at in the country, that I look regarding races, because I cannot even wake up and see how much I am a racist, how much I have separation, how much I cannot yet find a way to free myself of so much prejudice. We are not here to judge what others are doing, especially we spiritists, because otherwise we will become hypocritical. It's important for us to look at ourselves and others with eyes of compassion. If you miss this compassion, we are missing the point. This is a doctrine of inclusivity. Like, doesn't matter if the person is a Republican or Democrat, if he's racist or not. Do they feel welcome when you talk? Do they feel welcome in our words? Because if they don't, there's something that we are not understanding what Christ is about. There will be a day that we will allow everyone to express their feelings without we have our personal point of view. Because by the end of the day, we are here to embrace everyone. Like the truth doesn't come from the outside, it comes from inside. And that's the beauty of diversity. But may the scandal doesn't come from us. May we be the peacemakers. May you be the meek ones. The only way you can do that to others, if you can bring these teachings to ourselves. How much of prejudice I have in my heart. When I look at television, when I look this side or that side, what this provokes on me, what kind of emotion awakens on me in that moment. And then if I start to make a really deep analysis on myself, I'm gonna see so much to work. This lesson never was written for somebody else. It's on the first person for ourselves. And if you're capable to wash away the prejudice in our hearts, we'll be forgiven. Because the most important thing is to forgive ourselves. God loves us unconditionally, as loves others as well. Like God doesn't depend on our personal view to love another brother and sister as to love ourselves. But do I love myself? If you don't love ourselves, of course you're not going to be able to love others. Of course you're going to see evil in everyone else. But first bring these teachings to us. Like these teachings today is inviting us to leave this me of trials and expiation to a me of regeneration. Can I regenerate Adilson, the old Adilson, and become the new one? The one that's more forgiving, more merciful, more kind, less judgmental. That's it, sorry.
Don't be sorry, Adilson. It was really, really enlightened comment. And it's true, we have to know ourselves. And if we don't forgive ourselves, if you don't forgive or learn why I'm feeling that way towards the other person feelings, I will not be able to put in practice that lesson. It's really beautiful. Thank you so much. Any more comments? Okay, just a little.
I would like to add a comment.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's basically about forgiveness. The whole lesson here. I mean, it's look within and see what you want to see, as far as like not to judge others, but judge yourself on your own acts, because it keeps coming back to you, whatever you don't learn, let's say. And this forgiveness is so important. But yet, let's not put utopia and keep the truth. And but forgiveness is a big part of understanding what is everything that is in our life. And it's very important. I feel like it's one, personally, it's one of the very, very important thing in our life is forgiveness. And when you see something that you believe that you don't like, so then you be the difference. You make the difference. That's the way I feel. And that way you may reflect something that you want to see, which is peace and love and charity and all the great things that, you know, God gave us the opportunity to be here right now, studying this lesson the way we are. And I thank you all. Blessings.
Thank you, Ruth. So before we finish our class today, we have some reminders of the classes we have during the week. So we have on Thursday at noon, we have the gospel. We have 6:30 the studies. Saturday we do have a lecture at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11 a.m. as well, the classes. With the, which book we're doing now, Zoraida? Do you remember?
I don't know which one we're up to.
I know on Thursdays is the Medium's book.
Book and Spirit book. Sunday, because every Sunday it's a new one. Like we had a, so I don't know if it's one or the other. The gospel, maybe? No, I don't know.
Remember, I apologize, but we're all invited for the.
John will remind us.
All information are in the website.
Also.
Okay.
So be free to check.
Yes.
As you come to the end of this meeting, let us now elevate our thoughts, calm down ourselves, unite ourselves with our mentors near us, and we follow our final prayers with our sister Zoraida.
To our blessed Jesus, our spiritual benefactors, all that have contributed to our meeting here today, with our hearts full of gratitude and peace, we thank you. And to begin a new book of so much enlightenment, so much knowledge from Joanna de Angelis, we praise her and we thank her. May we start to begin a new book, a new enlightenment for ourselves, continuing our growth in spiritual enlightenment, learning, putting into practice, and most important, to be alert. We ask, dear Father, as we end this meeting, that we continue our prayers throughout the week for all our brothers and sisters who have been going through so much pain and sorrows. May you bring enlightenment and strength and courage to all. Those who have passed on, may our prayers enlighten them. For the families that stay behind that are suffering so, we ask, dear Father, to assist and in helping them to keep them strong, with their hearts full of pain and suffering. May you enlighten them, dear God. Help them to go through this as we continue our prayers, giving them the strength and courage that they need now. And for all of us here, we are so grateful, dear Father. May we continue with our prayers throughout the week, sending them enlightenment and courage and strength, dear Lord. With our hearts full of gratitude, we thank you. Allow us again to proceed next week to our studies again. With love in our hearts, we thank you, Lord. And with that in mind, we ask permission to close our meeting today. So be it.